Hey everyone, and welcome back to me filming on my phone in what is probably going to be a second channel video. I don't know, I'm conflicted because on the one hand, quality of this video is just second channel. I've literally just woken up. I am such a mess right now. I'm sorry I'm not wearing proper makeup. I've just thrown some mascara on. I'm exhausted. I wasn't even going to film today. None of this is planned or scripted because that's the thing. Video quality second channel. Importance of the topic is probably main channel, but I don't know. We'll see where this goes. I've been having so many issues since I published my Jack Denmo video with people I know everyone says don't let the comments get under your skin, blah blah blah, but I'm like, the comments that I'm getting are literally exactly what I'm saying is wrong with the world and wrong with Jack Denmo, and there are people in that comment section defending him as a rapist and being like, I can't wait for this rapist to get out of prison. Here's why I don't believe he's actually a rapist despite the convictions and the evidence and the testimony and everything. And a lot of these comments just kind of epitomize what is wrong with the world. It's what is wrong with our justice system in that it doesn't protect victims of sexual assault and doesn't get people to take sexual assault seriously. It is what's wrong with so many men today in that they would rather defend a rapist than believe a woman. There's just a hell of a lot. I've got a few comments here on my iPad to show you that I just kind of want to read through. These are ones I've got in the last week. So this is not all of them since the video has been published. This is just a random little selection of ones I've seen the last, 10 days. The last one was about 10 days ago. So, if you didn't see the video on Jack Denmo, or Jack Densmore, as his legal name is, he was, thankfully his channel's been taken down now, but he was a YouTuber who was originally known for prank videos and pickup artist videos. He then moved on to kind of slightly longer form videos of him sitting behind a camera talking, kind of like I do, except his topics were like how to be an alpha male, giving men dating advice. You know, it was still pickup artist stuff, but it was more of him just talking about it and telling others how to do it instead of videos of him going out on the street and doing it himself. Jack Denmo was accused of rape back in 2019, 2020, something around that time, and at the end of about 2024, excuse me if the timeline's wrong, it's all in that video, but I'm working off the top of my head right now. So at the end of about 2024, he was found guilty of raping a woman he'd been on a date with, and he should be in prison. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison, but his defense lawyers are appealing that, so he's currently out on bail while the appeal of the sentence happens. I should clarify, he's not appealing the conviction, he's just appealing the sentence, because him and his lawyers want him to serve the sentence under house arrest rather than in prison, like the judge originally wanted. He is also awaiting another trial at the end of this year for another rape accusation. Now, from what I can tell of that trial, the woman that he's convicted of raping, I don't know about the other accusation yet because it's not gone to trial, but the woman that he is convicted of raping had about as much evidence as a person can get. Like, she did everything as right as you can in that situation, and he really shot himself in the foot with how easy it made to prosecute him. Because what happened, from what we can tell in the news stories, is that he met this woman on Tinder or a dating app or something, and she was a college student. She was just 19 and he was like 20 odd, 25, 26, something like that. Again, the details are in the video, so go check that out. But they met on this dating app, and they were going to go out on a date, but instead he's like, no, I'm just going to come over to your dorm room, because she was a university student. And while he was there, she was really into it at first, and you know, they started making out and that was all good. And they started with a little bit of sexual activity and it was all good. And then he pulled out his phone to record it without asking her. So he was recording their sexual encounter without consent. That is a crime in itself, and that's an issue. And at that point she was like, no, stop, I don't want you to film this. He didn't stop. He didn't stop filming it. And at this point she changed her mind and was like, I don't want to have sex at all. I don't want any of this. And he continued to both film it and have sex with her. So he literally filmed himself committing rape. I'm just like, what more do you need to believe that someone is a rapist other than them filming themselves committing rape. So after he'd raped her, she told a friend. I'm pretty sure she got a rape kit done, and she reported it almost immediately, within like the day or days that followed. Because court cases take so long, like, there was evidence collecting, she was basically put on trial, not him. There was like a whole bunch of stuff, and the conviction didn't happen until 2024. And honestly, 4 years is quite quick in the grand scheme of things of rape and sexual assault trials. And yet, faced with all of that, people are still defending him. And this is what I find so damn messed up. And one of the things is, in this comment section, there is both a lot of things that are concerning and a lot of massive misconceptions about how the legal system works for rape victims and rapists and those accused of rape. So I just kind of want to correct some misinformation. I'm going to start with this, so this is from Ryan Dillingsworth, and as I said, I'm naming and shaming here, I'm just doing it, I don't care. They've left these comments publicly, I'm going to call them out publicly. This person, it was one of the least bad of the bunch, but he said that my video was more propaganda, driving men, including myself, from even being able to say hello to a female. One, let's not with the men and females, please. I actually ended up posting this comment and a couple of his others, I think, on the men and females subreddit, because I was just like, I'm so sick of this. But the whole video is me saying, don't be a creep, don't be a misogynist, don't be hateful towards women, don't dehumanize women, don't rape women, don't sexually harass women. And he's like, God, you can't even say hello to a female these days. And it's like, one, we're women, not females. And two, how did you get that from anything that I said? Unless your idea of saying hello to someone is sexually harassing them. If you felt targeted by the things I was saying in that video, that says more about your behavior than the standards of women. If you really don't understand how to have a conversation with someone without sexually harassing them or sexually assaulting them or devaluing them because of their gender, that is a problem with you. There are books you can read if you don't understand basic consent. I've got some notes here. So over the last over the last year, I've read a book called, let me find it. Yeah, so there's a book by Faith Harper written in 2020 called Unfuck Your Boundaries, Build Better Relationships Through Consent, Communication, and Expressing Your Needs. There's another one by Chanel Contos called Consent Laid Bare. I think they're a really, really damn good place to start. If you're worried that saying hello to a woman might be harassing them and you want to work on your behavior because that is a you problem, I'll say it again, these books are a really good place to start. Give them a read and then you can get back to me. Another comment I got said, Denmo is a god among men. We must protect this beautiful man at all costs. That's from The Chosen Few B60. Again, they're not even hiding it anymore. They're literally saying we must protect rapists, we must protect misogynists. And they wonder why women don't feel safe. They wonder why women feel harassed. They wonder why other victims of sexual assault, regardless of your gender, don't come forward. And it's because of comments like this and attitudes like this that want to protect the rapists at all costs. Another person simply, and it shouldn't surprise me, their username is literally Relentless Assault. They said free Denmo, heart emoji, heart emoji. Let's not. This person said, literally, they call themselves blue-haired liberal suck. So they're very creative, we know that. They said, why? You're pissed because he's giving average guys tips when women when women don't give them the time of day. Typical feminist. I'm still gonna watch his videos when he's out of jail. And I said, no, I'm angry because he's a misogynistic rapist and he won't be making videos when he's out of jail because thankfully YouTube bans convicted sex offenders. And thankfully, since making my main video, they have banned most but not all of his channels. I think this is a good thing. And this person said, he may be a rapist, but misogynistic? Far from it. And before I even read the rest of that comment, I'm sorry, but a man raping a woman is an inherently misogynistic act and you cannot convince me otherwise. I don't get how people don't understand that. He said he's helping out average/below average guys in the dating scene and we all know you're a feminist. Did you know that courts always favour women even if a man is innocent. Not saying Jack is innocent, just saying courts favour women and you know it. Except they don't, and I have a booked quote about that in a second. But before we get there, there's another bit that I want to read. This bit. There is no rules. Again, the usernames say so much, don't they? There is no rules said, it's pretty much possible that he's the victim. It's very trendy nowadays for women to go intimate with someone and then pull up a case to grab some money. This is just a thorough misunderstanding of how the justice systems treat victims of sexual assault, especially women. A book I've been quoting recently, I think I've quoted it in like 3 videos now, but it's relevant to what I've been talking about, and it's constantly on my mind because it's brought up some really damn horrifying like they're things that I was kind of aware of, but this really brought them to the forefront and I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. So if you've watched any of my main channel videos recently, you'll probably see me mention Sonia Orchard's memoir, Groomed, a memoir about abuse, the search for justice, and how we fail to keep our children safe. This is specifically talking about the Australian criminal justice system, but a lot of the things that she says are still relevant in other countries, like Canada, where Jack Densmore lives and assaulted women, like the UK, like the US, and a lot of other countries like that. She says, and I've spoken about this in a recent video, how the whole process of going to court essentially put her on trial instead of the man who assaulted her. In it, she talks a lot about Blackstone's ratio, which basically says that it is better that 10 guilty persons go free than 1 innocent suffer. And she's like, yeah, that's a really good point. However, when we look at protecting people accused of rape and sexual assault, it actually ends up causing their victims to suffer more. So you might be trying to protect them, but you're re-traumatizing and hurting victims over and over again. She says, there's more than one way to suffer, and getting convicted of a crime is just one of them. Sex crime victims are innocent, and when we refuse them justice, they may not go to jail, but they suffer tremendously. Further, an unpunished abuser carries the potential and likelihood of reoffending, therefore punishing more innocents. And I think that's a great thing to bring up in the case of Jack Denmo, because while he was being investigated for 1 sex crime, he went on to allegedly rape another woman who is now pending trial for raping. You know? So Sonia went on to write, how far are we as a society willing to push Blackstone's ratio, and how much are we willing to punish victims who come forward by failing to take their crimes seriously? Making them endure horrific judicial processes, thereby discouraging others from coming forward, providing protective measures to the accused that hamper a prosecution's case, and making the bar for prosecution obscenely high in order to protect the suffering of a person accused of a sex crime. Jennifer Robinson and Kina Yoshida, authors of the book How Many More Women, Exposing How the Laws Silence Women. I do want to read that book, actually. They write in detail about the legal system and the explicit ways in which it protects male perpetrators and silences female victims. Listen to this and you'll know why that commenter was so damn uninformed. In their book, they largely focus on non-disclosure agreements and defamation laws, two very different legal processes, but one that results in similar outcomes, whereby wealthy men can guarantee silence from victims by buying their freedom of speech from them or silencing them through the threat of defamation. She goes on to speak about her own case and the ways that it protects men by saying, people have reminded me that I'm hurting this man, damaging his career and his family. And people say this about Jack Denmo, like, oh, you know, you're hurting him by talking about this, you're ruining his career. Like, no, he did that himself by raping women. Sonia writes, I've often thought friends don't mean to imply these things, but they, like me, have internalized these concerns and this strange need that so many in society have to protect men from the consequences of their own behavior. Does he have a family? How do you feel about ruining his life? People have asked me. It's important to remember here that I am in no way hurting him physically, and any psychological damage he incurs is a result of people finding out the truth of his own behavior. I love Sonia Orchard. She's so damn strong. I love that she's written this. She writes, why is his honour more precious than my mental health and well-being, which he damaged for his own gratification? In her case, when she was a child. In Denmo's case, when they were teenage girls. She writes of the Australian justice system. Once a sexual perpetrator has been found guilty of an offence, as part of the sentencing, they are allowed to call upon character references, people who are willing to stand up in court and say that this rapist, trafficker, paedophile is a good person, inferring a ridiculously generous definition of good. I'm just going to let Carrie finish her drink, sorry. They have been found guilty of knowingly committing a serious crime, but how can I put it? He's just a good bloke who rapes people. And that's the exact sentiment I saw in my comment section so much. It's a strange compartmentalising of behaviour that one part of them, the good part, might not be responsible for and should not be stained by the bad part. Or maybe it's simpler than that, an outright dismissal of bad behaviour. It suggests that it could happen to anyone, that any decent person might accidentally find themselves in a position where they're abusing a child or raping a woman or sexually assaulting someone or harassing them, right, Q? But do many people really believe that? And according to my comment section, yes, a scary amount of them do. She goes on to write, my case hadn't even hit court yet, but nonetheless, I felt a strong pressure to remain silent, and a feeling or an understanding that S, the man she accused who raped her, was being shielded. Much of the process seemed to be geared around protecting his well-being and his rights. He was presumed innocent. Yet should I not be presumed innocent too? Where was my right to justice, to having my case resolved in a timely manner? I'd experienced an extraordinary invasion of privacy. I had to prepare to bear the brunt of humiliating, bullying behaviour. Should we go outside, Coops? Yeah? Sorry, just letting Coo out on the balcony. Where were we? Why was his right to silence so much more important than my right to be protected from further trauma? Implicit in all of this was that I brought this upon myself, that I chose to do this, so therefore I would have to suffer the process. But I didn't choose to be a victim, and reporting a crime is what a person aware of a crime, victim or not, is meant to do. So was I being silenced? Well, I certainly wasn't allowed to speak out. I hadn't signed any NDAs, but I had entered a system where speaking out came at such an extraordinary emotional cost that staying silent was a far more attractive option. I handed over my diary to the person who abused me and his legal team. I handed over my statement. I handed over other extremely personal pieces of evidence which would be shared among God knows who, and I had to be prepared to have my history pulled up and be cross-examined on all of this. I had to provide the names and phone numbers of family and friends so that they could be called up to be cross-examined about my sexual history. My 15-year-old self and my current motivation would be sliced into slivers and placed under the microscope. Every part of me examined and questioned with the aim of undermining me. Him? He was not required at any stage to speak or provide anything he didn't want to provide. In his police interview, he was asked to provide the names of his band members, all of whom I'm certain would remember me, but he refused to provide their names, as was his right. None of this would be allowed to be held against him in court. She goes on later to write, many victims of sexual violence who go through the criminal justice system describe the courtroom process as re-traumatizing. Tell me, because it is re-traumatizing, why the hell would anyone voluntarily go through any of that and have their entire relationship history, sexual history, friendship history, health history, everything examined under a microscope and consistently be shamed and questioned on every choice they've ever made, have such intimate personal exams like a rape kit done? Why would they have their phone messages, read through and passed on to the person who allegedly assaulted them and their legal team, have their emails, their social media, like every single thing? Victims who go to court have no privacy. Why would anyone voluntarily do that just for fun or attention or because it's trendy, as some commenters we'll see later want to say? It makes no sense. Sonia writes, some victims say it is more traumatizing than the initial abuse. Despite these experiences being well documented, little has progressed in the way we cross-examine victims since the 1950s. Not just in the courtroom. It's not just in the courtrooms, though, that the complainant is attacked. The most brutal treatment may come from the public and the media, as we have seen in my comment section. The other thing I want to touch on is this idea that, what was that other comment I read, just to remind you? Yeah, it's pretty much possible that he's the victim. It's trendy nowadays for women to go intimate with someone and then pull up a case to grab some money. One, if they wanted money, they wouldn't go after someone like Jack Denmo, who admittedly has been in debt several times. But Again, to quote Sonia, and this is Australia, but legal systems are very similar. She writes, "I have incurred the damage of sexual abuse and was currently enduring the additional trauma of a police investigation and court process. Yet I was eligible for no compensation other than a one-off victim of crime payment if my perpetrator was found guilty. And this payment will be capped at a maximum of $7,500. Probably less than what the defense barrier who would cross-examine me gets paid for one day in court. So even if the accused is found guilty on all 13 charges, this is the maximum compensation I could receive for everything he had done to me and for a police and court process lasting several years. I mention this only to point out that for most victims, it's clearly not worth reporting the crime committed against them for financial reasons. Why the hell would a woman put themselves through this level of humiliation and degradation and just emotional turmoil over 4, 5, 6 years just for a couple of $1,000s? Do you really think women are that desperate for money? They'd have to take time off work, it messes with their head and their family and all this stuff. Like, it's not worth the money they could potentially get to do this. It's not something trendy where women are looking for a quick payday, because it's such a long, drawn-out process that even if victims get some money at the end of it, it's not worth it. It's not enough. I can't believe men would suggest this. Let's go back to these comments for a second. This person said they were called Janny11, zero proof as far as I know. And I replied to this comment saying, except the video of it which he recorded himself and everything else that the police found and trial displayed. You might not know, but clearly there was enough for a jury to find him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. This is literally almost as much evidence as a person can really have. So if you can't believe this, then what would it take for you to believe someone is a rapist? Do you need to be in the room watching them rape someone? Although I suspect even then you'd find an excuse not to believe the victim. And I stand by that. Another person called And Terrorist, again, she tells a lot, says, dude, he was just a victim of Me Too. And I said he literally recorded himself raping a woman. And he replied, and how do you know? And I was like, are you joking? Because there's details that came out in the trial that led to his conviction in the first place. Not just pulling this stuff out my bum. Oh, back to Ryan Dillingsworth, and he had left some more comments, actually. He said, so someone had a consensual makeout session with him and then saw his vids, disagrees with them, and then cooks up a plot to throw him under the bus. Again, if you even listen to my video detailing what came out in the trial, you'll know that's not true. Again, as I replied in the comments, that's not what happened. It's like you didn't even listen. They had consensual sexual activity, and then he started to film her without consent. She asked him to stop. He did not stop filming. She wanted to stop the sexual activity. He said no and continued without her consent. I know, Kyra. I know. You got a lot to say, Bab. Me too. I know. Good girl. He then penetrated her without consent while filming the incident without her consent. He literally filmed himself assaulting her, which is why he's been convicted, because there's literal video evidence of it happening, and you're still trying to deny it. You cannot be this dumb. In another comment, he said, you're acting like conviction equals proof. And I'm like, how is it not? At this rate, it's like you're just pretending sexual assault doesn't exist at all. What would it take for you to actually believe a victim? Hey all, editing me here, just jumping in to say, I do think I missed out on a little bit of nuance while discussing this section here, because there are absolutely cases of wrongful conviction in regards to rape and other crimes. However, most of the cases of wrongful convictions in regards to rape and sexual assault are to do with mistaken identity, which often have to do with racist biases within the police and justice systems a lot of the time. Not always, but a lot of the time. Generally, if a person's wrongfully convicted, it's because they've been wrongly identified in a kind of stranger rape situation. Generally, if the person knows they're rapist, which is the majority of cases of rape and sexual assault, then there can be no mistaken identity, and it's very unlikely there'll be a wrongful conviction. So does this make sense? So I'm pretty sure in the Jack Denmo case, it's clearly not a wrongful conviction, because there's no way she could have got him mixed up with someone else. She knows exactly who she went on the date with. He was there, he filmed it. You know what I mean? It's just... it's very frustrating. and he said a lot, especially in a system rigged against men and designed for female privilege. Truth means nothing. Again, do I need to remind you of the fact that the criminal justice system re-traumatizes women, and getting a conviction at all is so damn difficult, and the conviction rates are so low? That doesn't sound to me like a system that is rigged against men for female privilege. Like, what is this female privilege? Tell me. I get men and females. Again, this frustrates me so much because it's such a misunderstanding of what actually happens. And it's like, even when they're given proof on a platter, they just won't believe it happens. It's like, what would it take for these men to actually believe a victim? What would it take for these men to believe that a rape happened? I don't understand what they want. Actually, I do. They just want to deny it. They absolutely want to deny it. There was something else I want to talk about. Give me a second. Oh, actually, sorry, there's two comments I want to talk about. One of them is from Desi KTV, who says, and this is one I saw this morning almost as soon as I woke up, and this is what's kind of got me all fired up today. He says, apparently you have to get a signed document from women now because apparently body language can be misread. Tell me why she's reporting it now and not in 2020 when it happened, and don't tell me she was scared because back then nobody knew him and then he got famous. So men can't even agree on what the conspiracy theory is. Is it that she reported him back then because he's so big and well known and famous and she just wanted to get money off him? Or is it that she didn't report him back then because he wasn't famous, he was just a little nobody and she waited until he was? Make up your mind. Either way, this person is also wrong because as I replied to them, she did report it when it happened. But legal proceedings take a long time, as we've seen. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. I said she literally reported it like the day or in one of the days after it happened. Plus, no one is saying you need a signed legal document. And again, this is a misunderstanding of how consent works completely. As I wrote, I mean, for one thing, that's just silly, and for another, it wouldn't even work since consent can be revoked at any time, and just because a person signed it at the start doesn't mean they can't want to stop partway through. A signed contract would actually be more dangerous for those involved. Because imagine, you're like, yeah, I'm into this, I want to have sex, you sign a little document, and then you start doing it, and then you're like, oh, actually, I'm not comfortable with this, or, oh, they did something to hurt me, I'd like to stop. Oh, this isn't what I thought it would be. Oh, I'm suddenly not feeling well and want to stop. Any of those things and more can happen, and you can want to revoke consent at any time, and you can revoke consent at any time. But imagine you've signed this document like 10 minutes earlier, and all of a sudden you feel like you can't say no anymore. Or they're like, no, sorry, you consented 10 minutes ago. I'm going to keep doing it now, and if you say no, no one will believe you. And if you say you said no, no one will believe you. A signed document would actually be way more dangerous and enable rapists even more. Like, you see that, right? But as I went on to say, yeah, but this case is pretty obvious. He literally recorded himself raping a woman and got convicted for it. If people won't believe a victim with that level of evidence, then what will it actually take? And that's what I want to keep asking. What will it actually take for you to believe a victim? Oh God, how do I say this? Ron, me, Jaden. Yeah, that sounds right. They said, wow, this comment section sure is something. I'm so glad I don't live where you live, princess. Let's not call women princesses. Also, one question for Rachel. If Jack gets acquitted and is found not guilty by the appellate court, are you prepared to make a 3-hour apology video making up for the immense damage you've done? Honest question. Again, this is misunderstanding what's actually happening, and once again, putting the rapists above the victims. As I said to him in the replies, but he's not appealing the conviction. He's accepted that conviction because there's so much proof. He knows even if he appealed, it probably wouldn't get overturned. So he's not appealing the conviction. He is, as I said, simply appealing the sentence because he wants to serve his time under house arrest rather than in prison. I then said I would also wait to see the outcome of the trial of his second rape accusation. That said, if it was proved beyond a reasonable doubt that he was definitely incorrect, I'd definitely make corrections, but it wouldn't need to be 3 hours long. However, my criticisms of his content would still be valid and I wouldn't change any of that. That said, an acquittal is not the same as being proven innocent. We know plenty of rapists are never convicted, and I still fully believe they're victims. So I'd only make a correction if he was proven innocent and not just found not guilty. But we all know that won't happen, as he literally filmed the rape himself. All the proof we could need is right there, and don't call me princess, it's patronising and unnecessary. And I have to ask this person, now that you realise he's been convicted of rape, are you going to make a 3-hour apology Are you going to make a 3-hour apology video to his victim, apologising for not believing her, and posting comments like this that re-traumatise her? You know, you need to make up for the immense damage you've done, right? Just an honest question. Except no, they don't, because they don't give a damn about women and victims and survivors. They absolutely don't. They don't care about their well-being. They do not. And you know what? I admit I have made mistakes in things before. Like, one of the big things that I always talk about is when the whole Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial happened and stuff like that, I absolutely kind of like fell for it, that like, yeah, Amber's the abuser, the accuser, this is what happened, and Johnny's the victim. And I even made a video talking about it, and I was on his side. I believed him, and I didn't believe her. And then after that, more and more stuff came out, and I saw the videos of, sorry, not the videos, I saw the screenshots of his texts, like, you know, threatening to rape her and murder her and violate her body, and I was like, oh crap, like, I've made a huge mistake. Like, I have absolutely fallen for misogynistic propaganda here, and I've just eaten it all up and spread it around. And so what I did there was I left a note on that video and like a pinned comment, and changed the description. I said like, this is what I said at the time, but this is why I'm changing my mind, and this sort of thing. And then I've spoken about it in other videos, been like, yeah, I've changed my mind and this is why, and that sort of thing. And I've even spoken about it in like Reddit comments and been like, yeah, this is why I changed my mind, this is what happened. Like, because that's what you do. If you get new evidence, you change your mind and then you talk about it. I mean, even that's not good enough for some people. Some people are still mad at me. Have been like, oh, I don't believe that you've changed your mind. And I'm like, well, you're entitled to do that, but it's the truth. Where was I going with this? Yeah, so in that case, yeah, I'm more than happy to admit that I was wrong. I changed my mind. There we go. But when a man, like, but that was like a really damn complicated case, and there was conflicting information from both sides, and Amber was an imperfect victim, which doesn't invalidate what she went through, but it did make it more complicated to kind of understand what was happening. I think in the case of Jack Denmo, it's very cut and dry. He raped her, he filmed it, end of story. Where is the wiggle room for him to be innocent in that? He's spent his entire career harassing women and making misogynistic content, and you want me to believe that like somehow she in 2020, 2019 or whatever, I don't know, made like some AI video faking the whole thing? Is that what you gonna believe? I don't believe it. I absolutely don't. So, okay, I think that's my rant over. I guess my question is, because I'm sure some men will watch this, and I think I'm gonna get 2 comments on this video. One about something being a screeching female, blah blah blah, damn feminists. Like, because my question to them is like, what would it actually take for you to believe that a man is a rapist? What evidence would you need to believe a victim or a survivor? Answer me that. And I'm sure the answer they're going to give is like, well, what evidence do you need to believe them? Me. What evidence do you need to believe that a man's been falsely accused? I'm sure I'm going to get that. And the other thing I think I'm going to get is, because I'm not wearing makeup today, I'll probably be called ugly and stupid and whatever, and there'll be lots of insults on my appearance. I'm used to it. I get it all the time. It's fine. But my scruffy, just woken up appearance doesn't negate the fact that I'm right about this, and this is a serious issue. And these men who will make excuses for rapists and do everything to re-traumatize victims are disgusting and dangerous, and they're exactly what's wrong with society. And to these men leaving the comments, you are the reason why women choose the bear. I'm just gonna keep saying that, because men really hate that argument, don't they? If you saw my video on the Whatever podcast, ooh, the man versus bear argument, that triggered a lot of little boys. They were not happy. But yeah, okay, I think I've ranted long enough with no script and no idea of what I was even going to say. So thank you for listening to me. I do appreciate you a lot. yeah, sorry, this is just something that's been like, I've been finding really emotional recently, and it's really affecting me, and I'm like having dreams about this stuff, and it's like really getting in my head, and I just felt the need to say something. And now I have. So thank you for listening. Please share your thoughts in the comments, unless you're another victim blaming piece of crap, in which case please don't. Probably just gonna block you. But yeah, thank you for watching today. I appreciate you a lot. Thanks for putting up with my just woke up face. I'm gonna go shower now. Actually, you know, sort my life out. But yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. And I appreciate you listening to me rant. So I will see you again soon. Bye.